Hey guys, so back with another episode of Mixes Macro, this time Valorant again. The next episode will be Counter-Strike. But this time I'm looking at Europe Valorant, and we're just going to be taking a look at one half this time. We're going to be looking at FunPlex Phoenix versus Guild from the finals of Challengers EU. They're going to be playing Ascent. FPX is going to be on the attacking side, and Guild on the defending side. So let's take a look at how this half goes, and kind of see how both teams adjust over the course of the half, how they kind of play off each other, things like that. So first off, starting off with the first gun rounds, you're going to see that kind of like the most common default FPX is going to play is kind of like two variations of this 1-3-1 kind of like mid default, where they're generally going to have Sova towards the B flank, towards the towards B main, the B side of the map. Cypher is more floating towards A. This is going to be a really important information battle towards A main. And then Astra is always going to be hanging around top mid, kind of placing her stars and stuff. And then Angel and Sippin, Sage and Reyna are always going to be kind of like around this area fighting towards mid. And they're going to have two different ways of fighting this, so let's take a look. So you'll see the most common thing that Astra's going to be doing is using that gravity wall at the start over here, trying to free up space for the two players over here. So this is kind of like their first way of fighting mid. This is going to be pretty common. They're going to just kind of like often kind of come out here, and they're going to be looking to fight this area. They're kind of like going to swing out together. They're trying to kind of like push off this area, push off Omen, and trying to like isolate this fight against Cypher, which they successfully do. So that's kind of like the first way they're gonna do. It's more of just a brawly fight mid together type default. And then the focus on this type of default is going to be getting control of Pizza and Market. So Astra smokes off. She has her star there always. You'll see this is like the first case of like this information battle towards A's, and the 4-on-5 you see him come over here and takes out Cypher, repushes, tries to even the round up again. And so on this default, where they're not really blocking off vision towards Pizza and Market, the goal is to get Angel towards this area, like towards lurking mid, taking mid control like this. That's kind of like the most important thing. You see finding tons of space, just opening up the map, and then that just ends up with Astra going back with Sova towards A, and they just kind of end in a B split because they found two quick picks in mid. On this default, generally they're more focused, especially mid round, is going to be ending towards B. That's kind of where their main win condition is. And you'll see able to kind of isolate the fight here and easily win the round based off those two picks from Angel and mid. So the eco, nothing too crazy here. This is just going to be default, where the focus is pretty much just on not doing anything crazy. You'll see they're not like super heavy towards mid. They're kind of just peeking and prodding it, seeing if anyone's peeking there. And they're essentially just trying to establish A main control. After establishing that there's no one towards mid, they establish B main control. Owen actually smokes from A. And smokes deep because that gives Cypher the opportunity to, one, they're going to recon drone, Cypher's going to push in. Angel's actually going to come back and take B main again. This is actually a really risky duel from Angel, despite his teammates being in mid. This round, the round could actually generally kind of fall apart here if he doesn't get that kill. 17 HP. Super risky duel there from Angel, wanting to get back into B main because it seemed like they wanted to B split there. And yeah, that's what they end up doing. So kind of risky there from Angel, but it works out. And so FPX, the next round, is going to run a kind of similar mid default, but this time the focus is going to be more on fighting towards Cubby over here. You'll see once again, Guild is, they kind of pressured with Cypher playing close last round. They want to do something similar, like they don't want to like give FPX all this space for free. You'll see FPX is going to change how they're fighting it. So the Reyna flash, also blocking off vision here. So Reyna flash so they can swing out. Omen smokes off for these guys. They're trying to like deny this info towards there. So pretty similar default, this time just not really fighting. And the thing is that because, so they swung out, they kind of like fought pretty fast. And though Omen like smoked this, Omen has like blocked off his teammates from blocked off FPX from getting in here, but he's also blocked off his teammates from fighting with him. And he's still trying to like kind of prod himself. So once again, Guild's gonna kind of fail here because they kind of take a fight alone again and die again, and end up in another 5v4. And this time they don't really have a real response that they can make for it. And so because they get this pick towards Cubby, they kind of change up their mid default, got the mid towards Cubby. Angel gonna go once again, kind of taking this mid control. Astra smoke again, and this time, based on the pick they get, they're gonna take the same control, but they're gonna go back towards A. And because they fake the mid control, because that's what they did last round, Guild feels uncomfortable like being heavy towards A, and you'll see they're leaning heavily towards B. They have 2 on B, they have another one towards mid holding like their flank, and they're not really ready for this A hit. It actually almost ends up working out for Guild still here. They actually end up in a situation where they are able to take like some really good fights because Sage is down low and Raze is up high, and FPX doesn't really do a good job at like covering this, so they're actually able to like take an up and down fight together. So FPX kind of did a poor job once they took the side of disabling a fight like that, and they end up losing the round because of it. But still a really, really close round. He actually ends up winning the 1v2. So in the end, this round, even though it's a round 1 for Guild, it's kind of still a win in a way in terms of the conditioning for FPX, because they did take the control, they did take the site, they just got kind of, they kind of just fucked up the round a little bit towards the end by, losing their man advantage both times. But they still have like that conditioning and that control towards A, so that's something that Guild is going to have to keep in mind and react to. And so this round, once again, FPX has like been doing the same pretty quick default. Raze wants to shut it down. Kind of surprising actually that FPX doesn't really recognize that Raze has ult, right? So they're kind of just gonna like walk into the same thing. Raze is actually going to come over here and ult pretty fast, and you can find a quick kill. So a good reaction to the default that FPX has been doing from Guild, using their ult to try to shut that down super early and make FPX uncomfortable super early. And this gives them a super heavy leg up in the round. And this is something that you're going to see pretty commonly that FPX will try to abuse in the last round of the half, is Guild kind of struggles with holding this area of A. They aren't really playing off each other. They have 2 shotties playing towards A together, and they're both playing in positions where like, Raze is like playing towards here alone, Traken's playing towards here alone. They're not really playing in a way that they can play off each other. They're kind of just taking 1v1 duels with the shotties, and he misses his shot. So he goes down and turns instantly back into a 4-on-4, and Yassine is also alone. So he's also just kind of like left down in a bad situation, kind of just left into a 4-on-3. And so Guild just kind of did a really poor job of capitalizing on that that 5-on-4. They maybe felt comfortable with their man advantage, but they still didn't really have a gun advantage, and it kind of bit them in the ass. If you're just A players, if you have 2 shotties, you'd rather just maybe give this up and just kind of like play for here. If they're like being heavy towards mid, maybe you want to do something, play some type of setup towards here. They'd probably have more success if they just tried to do something together. Instead, they were like kind of separated and allowed FPX to almost get back into the rounds. But Guild is able to recover still, because it's a good play from Cypher here to repush in the 3-on-3, and also from Sage. So still able to recover the round and bring it back. So FPX is going to completely change up the pace. They're going to start off with the same default here. So that's kind of like the only thing Guild has seen so far, is FPX just kind of doing the same default. No results, so they don't have to worry about that this round. Usually you're going to change up the pace, so they're going to use like a pretty similar util. Peek towards mid. They're kind of like trying to take Cubby pretty fast. So they're kind of similar default. Cypher's still worried about this Reyna default coming in. Reyna actually smokes here so they can kind of like recover. And you'll see they were still like trying to kind of pressure towards here. So like they were trying to make it kind of like similar default so that Cypher's kind of worried about them trying to do a similar thing towards mid where Reyna comes in and takes control. And also like they're pressuring just mid in general. And so what that does is it kind of catches Guild off guard when FPX is just up towards A, just dry peeking towards heaven. And it's something that Guild just wasn't really ready for because of the pressure that FPX was showing and how similar it was to the previous rounds where the focus was more on finding picks towards mid, finding picks towards, you know, Cubby and Connector, and finding picks towards Market and Pizza. So obviously Guild isn't feeling comfortable with the fact that they're just giving up all this mid pressure. They kind of had success when they were trying to fight them a bit, but they didn't really do it properly in the first 2 rounds. So they need to find another kind of a different way to do it like they did before. And you'll see they're going to commit to find mid. Sage is actually going to slow this at the start. Omen's going to TP past it. And he's going to be ready to fight. And they also have a backup plan here in terms of Raze playing towards here. So Raze is like playing towards here. Raze is ready to do something as well. Kind of like playing off of these two. So these two are kind of like together. Sage is kind of there with Omen, just kind of like helping him. And Draken's just going to fight alone past the slow because he TP'd. So he finds the kill, he TP's out, 5-on-4, smokes, gets away. Once again, this battle for information towards A is going on. Sova isn't going to like fight it too heavily because they have the advantage. Since FPX lost the mid fight, they need to do something else in regression, so their kind of response is to take B main control. They're also caught off guard by the fact that Raze has just been kind of sitting here behind the smoke. They acted like, hey, we're just fighting from here and then we're going to leave you. And so Astra just is not ready for this Raze to be here at all. So a really good way of changing up their fighting in mid based off of the previous rounds. So obviously that worked, right? They've kind of like had success with being aggro in mid with the Raze ult first and the Omen play just now. But they know that likely FPX is going to be able to kind of adjust to that. That's something that they're going to be expecting at this point. So they try to do something similar, right? So, and you can see they do adjust. So, FPX actually fails their slow here. Sage actually slows themselves off, but they are just in general playing more passive. You see Astra is the only one towards A. They're kind of comfortable with just leaving him there. Cypher just has his cam like super far back, and they're kind of playing a lot more passive towards A, trying to maybe catch anyone who's trying to play aggressive, trying to read the map first. But Guild at the same time has kind of expected something like that, so they're going to completely change the pace. So they see that, so they've kind of like blocked this off. They're trying to funnel Reyna into doing like the same mid control, like the same type of thing that they generally do. So they see it coming in, they see the recon drone come in, and they get their own recon drone coming in, and so they're ready to fight this. They're ready, just like the whole plan of this round, once they are able to funnel them and they know that it's likely just another mid default, is to shut down the Angel's lurk, and that's how they're going to make them uncomfortable this round. Raze has her ult once again, and then comes Angel. Angel's just kind of like forcing the fighting here, and Guild does a good job of changing up the pace that round and still taking the aggressionism just at a later point in the round. So rather than shut down their mid default instantly like they were doing the round before, they changed up the pace. They instead are ready to deal with Angel's lurk in the mid round. 5-on-4, fall away. once again, you're going to see FPX is going to have some success here once again. The A players once again aren't really on the same page. So this is like once again a weakness that FPX has found, is able to exploit once again. You see Draken kind of whiffs, not really ready to play off of Raze. Just another weak point for Guild CT setup there. And so that causes Sova to have to ult. That also caused Cypher to want to ult. You see, they have 2 in the site, but because of those deaths, Cypher decided, fuck, I have to rotate. I have to pick up kind of like pick up the flank in mid, and he's kind of like locked out of the site now. Sage is now left alone. So those 2 kills also cause a much easier hit for FPX towards B. They actually almost lose this round. They just barely win this round. They honestly get pretty lucky in terms of finding the kills in time. This Anti Eco Default is just a bit different from the one they did before, where they established B and A main control. This time they're kind of just playing another mid default like they've been doing. Playing like super passive towards like B and A main, maybe expecting Guild to try to do something towards there. Don't want to get caught off guard. Sova ults against Eco, trying to keep them out of B main. And yeah, just like a pretty normal mid default from FPX here. They kind of fake this B split. They fake the B split and cause Omen, because they have the 5-on-4, Omen wants to ult and try to help as well. And so, with a little time remaining, they fake like they're doing the same B split and just end up going back to A. So Guild is falling apart in the mid round so far, right? Even when they're finding some of the opening kills, especially towards A. So they need to change it up, and they need to find something that's been trying to go back to something that's been working for them, which is, you know, playing super aggro. But they don't just want to do a similar thing where, you know, they could do like the same Omen play, but that's something that FPX has already seen. And even if FPX starts to round the exact same way, because they've seen that play, you're just naturally a lot more ready for it. So Guild knows that. Guild knows that they need to change it up in some way, right? So here's their play. They're going to do a 3 push in towards B main. This is something they haven't done, establishing B main control super early. And at the same time, they're going to do the similar Omen play. So it's kind of like a double push, kind of like a double distraction. So Angel on Reyna wants to like do like a similar mid thing, you know, flashing. He's going to see or hear that, you know, Omen is TP'd. Is trying to do a similar thing, a similar mid thing. That's something that he's already seen, so he's already worried about that. But at the same time, they have to worry about the fact that they're immediately pushing into B main. Sova's like ulting. I mean, Sova's not ulting, but you know, recon drone. So they're now worried about this B push, while at the same time they're distracted from the mid push. The B push comes in and the fight. Then Draken was pretty much just kind of like hiding. He was doing the fight, but he wasn't really peeking as much. He was like kind of serving as the first distraction, and then he's peeking off the B player's push. So they're using the same mid push that worked earlier to enable their B push to work better, and then they're still doing a similar B push, just with a different timing. Draken kind of overextends there. They still left in the 3v2, but kind of like at this point, it probably would have just been a better play to just fall and take the... They would have been in a really good position where they could have fallen, had 2 on A, 2 on B. And so they're kind of left in a 3-on-2. And it's nearly going to cost them the round. Cypher actually makes a good play here in the 3-on-2, not just like, you know, not just like playing sites, they're just kind of obvious. Trying to get up and like at least play like a 1-and-done spot, because winning a 1-on-2 is a lot more difficult than winning a 2-on-3. You know, when you're in a situation like a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-2 or something like that, just finding a 1-and-done spot can really be enough. Really smart though from FPX to bait him out by using the cam. They use it to check it. Cypher turns around, gets caught off by the timing. Really smart play. And really heads up play to expect that a push like that in a 1-on-done spot was a real possibility. especially because they knew that 3 pushed B, and they knew that 2 were 2 towards B. They knew that there was likely, they spotted the Omen and killed him, but they weren't sure where the other A player was, so they knew that because they didn't have control of this and they died in mid, this guy could be anywhere, so they needed to be super careful, and it was super likely that he was pushed up. But Guild has a res in, and they're able to keep it in a 3-on-2 with the res and retake the site. Using their ults just kind of like to secure the round. And so Guild had success with that in the last round. They're going to do something kind of similar. They're just going to like change up how they do it. So instead they're going to go in with a boombot first. Sova actually is in there as well. They want to go for like a similar beat push. And at the same time they're changing it up, right? So the last round they used the mid push. They used the mid push to kind of distract them from the B push and get them caught off guard. This time they're kind of doing something a little bit different. They're going to do a similar B push, this time with the boombot pushing in. And they're also going to be aggroing A super early for the first time. So Omen is like in here prodding, gonna take out the camera, completely denies A main control for them. FPX, however, in the last round of the half, obviously I've noticed that their A connector setups are like super weak and just super exploitable. So they want to try to do something pretty similar. They can like get past here, they block off that. They're getting into here fast. They want to do a fast A split based off of that, based off of the success they've had. But they're kind of caught off guard because Guild has changed up their setup a bit and they've pushed A main. They kind of abandoned this B split because they kind of knew that they weren't actually probably there. They were doing like their fast mid stuff. That's kind of the read they have. And you'll see they try to like go in and try to do like a fast split through this connector. But because of the A main push, Guild isn't so much worried about this, so they're a bit more on the same page. This is like coming in a bit late. So these guys, all 3 of these guys are just super focused towards A, and they're playing off each other a lot better because they're not playing in cubby, they're kind of playing more towards here. And FPX in general also kind of connector themselves wasn't really that good. They were kind of all over the place themselves. The Sova ult was kind of off the timing with the Cypher peak. Everyone just kind of ended up peeking by themselves. And yeah, so ends the half 7-5 for FPX. So you'll see that, so as you can see, like, you know, that mid default was like their main way of getting map control and starting rounds, and just little adjustments from both teams in terms of what they were pressuring and what FPX was trying to do throughout the half, based on what worked, what wasn't working, you know, how they wanted to make the other team feel uncomfortable, things like that. And yeah, so that was more of a look at EU Valorant. Let me know if you guys enjoyed, if you found it helpful. My next episode will probably be Counter-Strike. I'm probably going to be taking a look at Heroic versus NIP on Nuke from ESL Pro League. And yeah, so look forward to that. Thanks guys.